Trigger warning. I will be addressing racism and the recent hate crimes against Asians going on in the US. This is an issue that needs to be addressed. But if it makes you uncomfortable, please click off. If you're sticking around, let's get started. For the sake of this, I will assume that you know nothing about the hate crimes happening in the US. Ever since COVID, Asian hate crimes in the US have increased by 150%. People blame Asian Americans for something they had zero part in. On the night of July 14th, an 89-year-old Asian woman was attacked by two men. She, the woman, says one of the men first slapped her in the face, then moments later she felt a sharp pain on her back. Once she realized what was happening, she quickly pulled up her hair so it wouldn't burn and then rubbed her back against a wall to put out the flames. ABC 7NY. On December 23, 2020, the police were called to the home of Angelo Quinto. Quinto, at the time, was having a mental health crisis. When the police entered, they restrained Quinto and knelt on his neck for 5 minutes. All the while, Quinto kept repeating, "Please don't kill me." He lost consciousness and an ambulance was called to take him to a hospital. He never woke up and died in the hospital 3 days later. Police deny any foul play, although video taken from Quinto's family members show what really happened. Information wasn't released to the public until January 25, 2021. Body cam footage and a full autopsy has yet to be released. On February 3, 2021, 61-year-old Noel Quintana was slashed across the face on the subway in New York City. A man walked by and kicked the tote bag that Quintana had set on the train floor, according to a New York Daily News report. When Quintana confronted the man after he noticed his bag being kicked again, the man took out a box cutter and slashed Quintana across the face from cheek to cheek. None of the passengers reportedly came to Quintana's aid, according to the report. He got off the train, and was only able to get help from a ticket booth attendant who called 911. Asian Journal. On March 16, 2021, 8 of 9 people were killed in 3 separate massage parlors, 6 of which were Asian women. Identified victims include Delana Ashley Yuan, 33, Xiaoji Tan, 49, Daoya Feng, 44, Paul Andre Michaels, 54, Elchias R. Hernandez Ortiz, 30, Kyun Young Grant, 51, Soon C. Park, 74, Suncha Kim, 69, Young Ayu, 63. President Biden and Vice President Harris are heading to Atlanta to meet with Asian American leaders. These are only a few of the hate crimes against Asian Americans. They need to be talked about. I, myself, am half Asian and am lucky enough to live in an area where these crimes are not prominent. But I have family who live where these crimes are prominent. I don't want to worry about my family being killed on the street. This is not something anyone should be worried about. Apart from the hate crimes, Asian Americans have faced other injustices. They have been refused from businesses, Asian restaurants have lost business, etc. People on the streets have had snide remarks thrown their way. Things along the line of "thanks for the virus and go back to your country" have been thrown around. Calling COVID the Chinese flu or Kung flu is racist, and saying it's just a joke does not excuse racism. Now these have existed pre-COVID, and there is still no excuse for them. For those who don't know what a microaggression is, by definition, it is a term used for brief and commonplace daily verbal, behavioral or environmental indignities, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative attitudes towards stigmatized or culturally marginalized groups. Examples of these microaggressions would be things like, "Your English is very good, where are you really from, you're so exotic, say something in Asian, you're good at math right," and so many more. These things can be very harmful. This just leads up to stereotypes. Asian stereotypes tie into the microaggressions. For lack of better words, they go hand in hand. For one, assuming that all Asians are pale. Asians are not monolithic. Then there are more harmful stereotypes. Like Asians eating cats and dogs. Or that all Asians know each other. Those stereotypes is so harmful and they make zero sense to me. Now, the model minority. The model minority myth is basically the stereotype that all Asians are smart and musical geniuses. This myth characterizes Asian Americans as a polite, law-abiding group who have achieved a higher level of success than the general population through some combination of innate talent and pull yourselves up by your bootstraps immigrant striving, learning for justice. This is harmful because it gets rid of differences among people, it ignores the diversity of Asian culture, and it practically erases racism against Asian Americans. We don't get to be your model minority only for you to blame us for something that wasn't remotely our fault. To dismantle this myth, we must understand that collective is important but recognize that individual differences exist. You can raise awareness to the myth to yourself and others. These things didn't really fit into a category, so I'm putting them here. These are things that are racist and why they are, if that makes any sense at all. 1. Calling anime characters rats. This has been around for a while. People have called Asian characters, most of which that I have seen being Kakichi, DRV3, and Atsumu HQ. Here's why it is racist. During World War II, anti-Japanese propaganda in the US portrayed the Japanese as rats. Since then, rat has been used as a derogatory term against Asians. 2. Taping your eyes back. This one should be obvious. People pull their eyes back to mock Asian eyes. People taping their eyes back has been seen in the cosplay community more than it should. People tape back their eyes to look more Asian. This is yellow facing. I don't really know what else to say. It should just be common sense that this is bad. 3. Whitewashing. This usually happens in cinema. When black and white films were still around, they didn't cast Asian actors. So whenever they had an Asian character, it was a white person playing them. A white person yellow-facing. This leads me to Ghost in the Shell 2017. Disclaimer. I haven't seen the film, nor anything else in the franchise. In that movie, they cast a white person to play a Japanese character. As far as I know, there was no yellow-facing, but is it really that hard to cast a Japanese person? 4. The Garbage Pail Kids. So, as many BTS fans have heard, after BTS loss at the Grammys, Topps released a trading card. The card depicts a game of whack-a-mole in which the members of BTS are the moles and are being beat with a Grammy award. Considering all that I just addressed, you should be able to see why this is wrong. Thankfully, Topps removed the card, but that does not excuse it being released in the first place. Aside from just being common sense to talk about it, there is more to it. In my case, I rely on anime for my content, like many other creators. If you are a content creator that relies on something Asian like anime or music, you should speak up about it. If you like anything Asian, like our food, music, K-pop, J-pop, K-dramas, Bollywood, anime, etc., you should speak up about it. I have yet to see any popular Heikaiu texting accounts address this issue and it makes me feel sad. As stated before, if you rely on anime for your content, speak up about this. Don't stay silent in times like these.